We are live, guys. I'm just fixing the stream stuff. We've got some.
Yeah, I mean,
We're live, guys. I'm fixing some stream stuff. We've got some scheduling conflicts, but otherwise we're good to go.
These groups working in concert. We oversee platform-wide systems, shape association social policies, and steward the TEL Treasury with care and foresight. The TEL platform governance system, self-organized and determined by the four minor groups and their elected councils within the association, focuses on two primary duties. One is provisioning, planning, and financing platform infrastructure construction and maintenance, providing information, and delivering other collective goods essential to our ecosystem's health. TEL allocation, which is basically regulating TEL sustainability within the platform for the four minor groups to harvest based on their production according to the rules established by the respective councils. As your elected representatives, we embrace several key responsibilities. Thoughtfully reviewing and voting on snapshot proposals, maintaining consistent attendance at council meetings, providing transparent regular updates to the community, vigilantly monitoring platform systems, upholding and enforcing our operational framework. So we'll go ahead and give a recap of the last meeting. So in our last meeting, we got updates on the testnet for auditors and the progress of work on finalizing that. We had Storm's media marketing campaign update. We had a very small presentation by Paul on the proposal for banking the Internet of Money, which everybody seemed to be interested in. An update on TAN-IP2 for rewards calculation updates, brief exchange listings updates, and a governance website and org chart creation talk. So with that, let's move on to our first section, which is Telcoin network update. Let's get an update from Grant.
All righty. Thanks, Ari. The judging phase is complete. We were able to announce the results publicly yesterday. So the next step is we're continuing to work through these fixes, and we will address all the findings in the report. We are expecting this to take roughly 4 more weeks. That will also include time for the security researchers to evaluate our fixes and verify that they do, in fact, patch the vulnerabilities that were disclosed. After that, we're going to schedule a series of follow-up private audits to focus on very specific portions of the code base. And yeah, the last note I wanted to share was that the final report is still being worked on. That's by Cantina, and it'll be released as soon as it's ready. But likely a few more weeks. I'm not sure if they are waiting for our code solutions to be implemented so they can address that in the report, which findings are still outstanding or if any were left unaddressed. But we plan to address all of them. So as soon as I have that final report, I will be sharing it publicly.
Okay. And wasn't there, you guys didn't have any critical findings on that though, correct?
That's right. And that was a highlight for the results. 0 criticals. We had I can pull these numbers up. Sorry, I did not have these.
No, that's fine. From someone who's been in the code base there, for something as complex as this to have no critical findings, it's a pretty big step. So
yeah,
good job.
Thank you. And Marcus and Steve deserve a ton of credit with that as well. So we're looking forward to getting these all this feedback incorporated into the protocol. And I think we're also increasing our test coverage, and some of these informational findings will definitely boost our performance as well.
Okay. Do we have any other questions for Grant? Okay, we'll move on to the next section. So let's see, do we have Storm on the call? Would they like to give an update on what's been going on in the ad world? Yeah, I mean, we can go ahead and do that, or we can talk a little bit about what's been going on in the background. That's fine. Go ahead, Derek.
Hey, BZ, your mic's getting a mic check on a little feedback there. I'm notorious for it, but it just sounds like this will work.
As far as the Storm updates, there's a planned meeting tomorrow to work on some developer materials. So I'm really looking forward to that conversation.
Yeah, and and Aaron, you did one of those meetings with them last week, right? As well.
Yeah, so we went through and I put up an initial value proposition for developing on the 10 network, and we went over kind of like the different possibilities of bringing developers on to develop on the network based on kind of like there's 2 kind of like different levels. There's the open kind of somebody just wants to go and develop an app that runs on the network versus like someone who wants to tie into the incentive structure and GSMA and membership and stuff. So we're going to start working on putting together a page and a contact page. And I am going to, once we kind of, I get the okay on kind of this manifesto that we've started to put together for it. We're probably going to start posting it everywhere, like on LinkedIn and stuff, to try to draw some of our network into the fray and try to entice some of these people to look at the Telcoin network, which is really from a developer standpoint is a pretty big opportunity to get on a new kind of greenfield system and kind of make your mark. I know that I have at least 2 of my companies looking at what to do right now, and I've got a whiteboard filled with ideas of things that I would like to look at building.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's perfect to have someone who is an application developer, is planning to be one, representing that group, and part of the process. Sounds like so I had a call with Ermias yesterday as well to do we're just doing all sorts of messaging and everything, and went through and approved a bunch of the different areas for liquidity miners and developers. He mentioned that you guys also talked about a website landing page, call to action area. I don't know if you had any input on that because we didn't go through it too deeply.
Yeah, we're just trying to get the value prop was the first step in that, is that they needed to kind of understand what the value proposition was for developers, and then what we're going to do is put together basically a proposal with a page design to put on to the Telcoin network. I think was where we were thinking about putting it, but put it on that page so that we have somewhere to funnel these developers into, so that we'll kind of have a process to go through to, hey, we've got somebody who's interested, and this is kind of like the stuff that we want to feed them. And we also talked a lot about like creating developer docs, maybe sample apps, stuff like that, down the road. So so all from a development standpoint, all pretty exciting stuff.
Totally. Yeah, that's great. And then I guess I'll just read, unless I have any feedback on my mic, I can read this part
Is
if you
mine
want.
is mine better now? Hopefully,
Yours is good. Yeah, you
All right.
take the reins,
Yeah, for sure. So,
smooth now, Eric.
what's that? Sorry.
So smooth now.
I had to switch. Sorry, I'm dealing with all kinds of my main PC had a hardware issue, so I'm trying to catch up. Anyways, so Ari, and you can stop me if I'm wrong here, but yeah, a lot of the stuff that we had talked about on the call yesterday with the developer stuff, obviously, and syncing with that. Storm also said, that they've got some content marketing going on. You mentioned the manifesto, some long-term distributed publication items, campaign sprints with liquidity miners and application developers. We talked a little bit about that. And then just some further alignment with Storm and Holdings to ensure, with the marketing teams, to ensure that there's an updated roadmap for Storm. I know the community has mentioned that site is down. That's because Storm is working on ensuring that it's updated correctly and it is community facing, so that there are timelines that can be measured and things per Ermice's comments, and he wants to make sure that things are open for feedback and communication. So those are some of their updates from that aspect. If you haven't had a chance to listen to him talk about the Telex University framework, that was on yesterday's call, and there's some snippets posted on the X account, the Association X account for that.
Okay, good deal. Anybody have any questions in regards to the marketing or development? Okay, so we'll go ahead and move on. So the next one is the banking, the Internet of Money. So this actually TEL-IP this passed already. So I don't know, discussion of next steps and implementation. Parker, do you want to speak that?
Yeah, for sure. Very exciting times. There's overall it was interesting in the sense that we have, in terms of the actual like proposal and voting part, because we had the compliance council come in, which is great. It's the institution itself is like working, and what I mean to say is that there's a 5-day duration for any proposals to pass, and that's critical because we need to make decisions with ideally unanimous support and with real thought to them. And so we proposed to the platform one on Friday, and then with tremendous excitement move forward with posting the Treasury Council one on, I believe it was Tuesday, and the Compliance Council flagged that and said, well, Parker, here's the rules. And I'm like, well, you've got yourself a point there. And so we the Compliance Council working as should be. We canceled the Treasury Council vote and then reran it. Of course, the platform council is unanimous, and then we started it within the proper rules for how you do a tel IP. And so I wanted to applaud the compliance council for stepping in and making sure that the institution, which is the set of rules that governs these different organizations, and is critical, that those rules are followed properly. And it was great to see that be demonstrated. And then to also see the tel IP get unanimously approved by both the platform council and the Treasury Council, which I think we have a perfect record of unanimity, which is also even from the TGIP1, which is really cool. Which it means that we're communicating. It means these calls are working, and the way that we're deliberating about things is strong. And so that's very exciting. And the proposal itself, of course, is banking the Internet of Money and unlocking the bank financing needed while ensuring that the association gets to benefit from that via ownership in Telcoin Holdings, which is in itself a very sort of novel M&A, mergers and acquisitions thing in the world that really wouldn't be possible without having a separate legal entity like this. And so it's all really no investment bankers needed, right? And so it was all very cool to see it happen, and it's all very exciting. The next steps, and for instance, the reason that we haven't transferred the TEL yet is that we have basically the qualified custodians that we're working with right now, like Pico and a couple of others. We're just like rubber stamping the different people that are signers on that, with the sort of Cow being one, Telcoin Holdings being one. And so, but that's been able to move really fast. And yeah, I'm super optimistic that we're going to be able to deliver on all of our milestones and unlock that TEL and ensure that it's back in the game, and then ultimately the association will have real equity in the bank that's so critical to the whole space, because if it costs $1 to get 95 cents into the economy, that is really where all digital goods and services, finance and beyond, will be held. Like if it takes 5 days and costs $1 to get 95 cents, what have you solved? But what happens when you plug in the banking system, and what happens when you're the preeminent network that's the most well-banked and interconnected in the world, on top of harnessing the distribution channels that exist with telecom? So everything is just coming together in a really tremendous way. Every day is a winding road, but we're on the right track, and it really is exciting to see how aligned we all are on this, and how everyone is. There's tremendous complexity, and the goal is to harness that, and we're doing a lot of that with the marketing agency and just across the board with the councils. But that's where the strength is the ability to really sort of be separate but completely integrated and aligned, and unlock what we think will become the Internet of Money faster than anyone else to the most people, in a way that we've just been working on for so long. So yeah, this it's awesome, and I'm really looking forward to things. And I think the outlook for when we'll physically transfer the TEL collateral is, I want to just be on the probably safer side and say maybe like 7 days, just because there's like a lot of KYC and AML across different companies and stuff that are being finalized, but they're great partners, and ultimately those become everybody that we partner with. So interestingly, becomes like a big full stack opportunity across the network and everything. So, and the token, and so anyways, that's my update. 7 to 10 days is the TLDR, maybe a little longer, but everything has moved forward, and we're optimistic about the future and excited. The community is aligned with it.
That's cool. I think we only had one question about that popped up, and it was someone was wanting to know what types of metrics we should expect to get once the bank is up and running on a quarterly basis. And maybe if you don't have kind of an idea of that in front of you, maybe we could put something together for the next meeting.
Yeah,
They would know.
yeah, that'd be great. We'll put something that's comprehensive that we can align around as a council, because this certainly would be considered sort of global policy. Obviously it's Treasury related, and so yeah, let's put that together and make it something that we can have done recurring way. I mean, what the metrics and all of that are. Well, just putting them down on paper and then agreeing to that would be the best way forward. So yeah,
Okay.
appreciate it.
Okay. And Derek has politely raised his hand.
Yeah, this is just a question from the stream. And again, I'll preface this by saying this is, again, the Telcoin Association. We don't have full answers on things in regards to the bank. So there is a question about when the bank will be launching. And I'd like to reiterate, that is not within the purview of this council. That is something that Telcoin Holdings is responsible for. So we cannot really comment on that, as we're not involved with that process. But in regards to this Tel IP, there is a question about, to summarize it, how is the council and Paul essentially putting up this liquidity, a sign of confidence in what's to come, and basically, if you could explain, as Paul kind of did on the last call, of how that relationship and what that does with the investors and what that unlocks with the investors. Essentially, I'm not sure how much of that we can answer, but I thought I'd pose it.
Yeah, and so it's two questions. The first one, you want to just hit me with the first one again?
Yeah, of course. How essentially, what does without me summarizing it, the comment verbatim is not sure.
Bank launch date.
Yeah, yep. Bank launch date was the
for
first
sure.
one, which again I said, we can't necessarily comment on that, but if you want to add anything, you can.
Yeah, well, so basically there were, I want to say 13, but don't quote me, conditions when we received our conditional approval, and this financing is the last of the check marks to be knocked off for that. And so then it goes to the department, and it's in their hands, right? So I couldn't speak to the exact time that they would do that. And I'd kind of would just like defer to Paul on it, but yeah, so there's that question. So it's, but it's the last thing, right, that we need to have completed. So, and everybody wants to move forward quickly and get this going. It's a huge opportunity for the state of Nebraska, as well as for Telcoin and the whole Telcoin ecosystem and crypto more broadly. And so I think everyone's really excited about it, but I wouldn't want to say, oh, it's going to be in the state and get that wrong, or speak for our regulator. But and then on the other question was related to, could you just rehash that one again? Sorry.
Yeah, a little bit. I think it's more about just what essentially the liquidity and with Paul and us unlocks and what that enables. So I think you've kind of answered that. If it comes up again, I'll make sure I say something.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, very good. So if there's no further questions, we'll go ahead and move on to the next one, discussing the Tel IP for the gold check mark on X. So who actually posted that one. Do you want to?
That was me. Yeah, I'd be happy to elaborate. So, essentially, after looking at this, we had talked internally about it a little while ago, and had looked at kind of the price and we're under kind of a assumption that the price was around $2,000 a month. After a recent kind of, I want to, not surge, but big increase in the number of mentions, specifically. I think after the repository was released by Storm, we had around a 40% to 50% increase in posts that contained either the ticker of Tel, or a mention of Tel, or a hashtag of Tel. So we saw a big uptick, and we haven't seen that type of uptick since probably around, I want to say 2021 when I was looking last. So it was a big increase. What essentially happens from that aspect is that what happens after that point, we started seeing a lot of copycat accounts. We started seeing a lot of accounts that were essentially copying the association, or saying that they got an airdrop from the association account or the Telcoin account, and all these had blue check marks, which is what we have. What this does is there's twofold. One, as the proposal states, it's about if you paid monthly, it'd be a $200 a month cost. If you pay annually, it actually cuts that down even more to about $1,000 a year, I want to say. Grant can correct me if I'm wrong there. It also, you get an equal value in X advertising dollars. So it is essentially a net zero, because you're retaining those advertising dollars. You then get a gold check mark on your business account, which would be the Telcoin Association account, which you can only get by verifying the business status. So therefore, it eliminates these copycat accounts from thinking they're interacting with our association or with our account, and they can know for sure that they're interacting with the correct account. And then the third metric that isn't listed on here also is that we can tag every single association council member as a quote unquote employee, and it can only be done through the official account. Therefore, as we saw earlier this week, we had a council member who had his whole account completely duplicated and was messaging people in the community with malicious links, right? So the whole goal of this is really just to provide some more safeguards and legitimacy behind that the community is interacting, or individuals are interacting with the correct people and the correct communication. Just again, if you look at some of our counterparts in the crypto space, we have there's somewhere around 80 to 90% of the top 200 altcoins have a gold check mark for their accounts. So I think this not only provides some safeguards for the community, it has some advertising value, and then just some more overall legitimacy. So that was the whole purpose of me putting this forward, as it had been talked about a lot in the community.
Yeah, I thought it was totally a totally worthwhile thing to do, because we did see there was quite a significant uptick in these copycat accounts just trying to scam people. Big Dog, did you have something to add to this?
Yeah, just onto the back of that as well. I might have missed it in the beginning, but it's $2,000 a year at the moment, and that would just be an ongoing cost. We would keep it going until it gets voted out. So just something to keep in mind on the back of that.
Yeah, thank you for clarifying.
Grant?
Yes, I also was curious. After seeing like one of the council members impersonated this past week, I think that's like certainly a big problem that we want to address. One question I had, and it was I also affiliations category under full access versus basic, and just kind of looking at those two, it seems that the $10,000, the full access version would actually be required to have affiliations.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, that just came up recently, and I didn't look into it. I don't think that's in my initial proposal either. So again, that's something we can look at down the road, or maybe have a list on our X account of those accounts. It's something we'll have to continue to deal with. But yeah, I'm the $10,000 account is certainly a much larger expense, and I think the logical spot is to see how well this starts rather than going all in that aspect.
Okay, Parker.
Is there a nonprofit discount?
I don't think so.
Not that I could find, Parker.
Got it. Thanks.
Guess we could always ask Elon to hook us up. So
And this is already on Snapshot as well. This one.
yeah, I believe so. Okay, so if there's no further questions, is Simon here to talk about his TEL IP for the Treasury?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm here. Cheers, Larry.
Take it, Simon.
Yeah, so it's a pretty rough and loose proposal at the minute. There's not been much discussion around it on the forum as of yet, so I'd welcome some talk about it after this meeting's finished and in the coming weeks. But basically, there's a few questions that I also need answering from probably Parker. But basically, this is basically a loose proposal to fund. Can I put this? Fund the association until basically the date of which Paul's Internet of Money proposal could potentially bring funds back into the association by whatever means that is, if that's meeting the fundraise numbers, etc., and then using the surplus for current costs of whatever it may be, just overall, just as the desire to have cash now, basically, and then be able to replenish in the future. So a couple of questions I had for Parker were current costs. So it's 10%, whatever it may be, Treasury for each year. Obviously, once this goes through, we'll be down to a couple of questions I had for billion. So in a year 3 allocation, that would be 240 million at 10%, which is quite significantly less than this year's, which was 900 million. How does that work?
Yeah,
overall?
great question. You want me to start there? Did you have one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, go for
Okay. Perfect. So yeah, basically, the TEL that's in the TEL Treasury is being used as collateral, but it's from the perspective of, that those TEL tokens, right? The TEL Treasury, I think you can just sort of think about it as the total stock of supply that hasn't flowed through the system at issuance yet. And so this, collateral that's moving there is still the TEL Treasury, right? But in terms of its like number of tokens, and so the first thing is that in the 10% rule around that, of course, we can via the TEL IP process alter that. But if we were to stick with the 10%, it should be, which I think is the proper approach until otherwise, or some other proposal comes through. But basically, so that would amount to the what's the remainder if you count the 5 plus what's the remainder in there after the collateral?
After the 5's got out?
Yeah, 2.7,
2.4 billion.
2.47 something. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, it's basically, you think about it as the Treasury's at 7.24 something.
Okay.
For that purpose. And then, and the target is to have those funds returned ideally like end of next year, but you know, base case 2 years. And so if you take the number of 7.2, so there's 720, and then there's the next year, the six, however much is left on that. At that point, that five should come back. And so it'll then be at that level. Then yeah, so just stopping there, does that make sense? Because then there's some other areas like
Yeah.
price appreciation that wherein you can pull from the collateral anytime as well. So like if tel goes to X price, it still maintains the collateral value that's
Yeah.
needed, and so we can gradually pull that out should tel's price increases. Perhaps some of us do think it may.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's definitely the numbers I've got in there are rough at the minute. So yeah, another question I have for you. So the safe notes that come back from what we've got in escrow with from Telcoin Holdings, is that the 1.25 million? Is that essentially redeemable in USD, or is that resulting in an equity in Telcoin Holdings?
Sure. So, and for those who aren't familiar, a SAFE is a simple agreement for future equity. It's used because it's a more sort of flexible method for raising capital. And what it does is you have this agreement that for on this future round of equity, and in this case, it's the Series A round at Telcoin. And so this is a 250 million valuation cap with an 80% discount rate on the Series A round. And so what that means is, let's say the Series A round is at 300 million, then the association will own per annum 1.25 million USD worth of shares at the valuation of $250 million. So it will execute in that Series A round into equity at that lower valuation. Of course, we're targeting a much higher valuation than that, but within the collateral agreements, that's the number that is, to not need the collateral is $10 million, and of a Series A round by, I believe, 2020. I don't want to quote the proposal, though. I did have a hand in writing it. The exact date, but it's by like 3 years or something. It raised $10 million in outside capital at that valuation, and so at that point, the collateral comes back, and the association ends up with all of its tel and its however many years that it's in collateral. So let's say it's base case target 2 years, and it's $2.5 million dollars. So effectively 1% share of the company and all the tokens back. And so does that give a good insight into the safe mechanism?
I guess my overarching question is there any scenario where the theoretical money from safe notes could be used as a mechanism for a buyback of the TEL token directly to replenish potentially what we would take out in this proposal?
So could the safe shares be used as collateral to remove the collateral? Is that what you're saying? The same shares will be executed into equity, at which point the equity, we want to be public and have that equity be liquid and have people be able to, as a bank, borrow against things like that, as well as borrow against TEL, right? Which will, of course, be an option at some point in the future here. That opens up the doors for various things for us. But yeah, am I getting the gist of your question, or am I missing the mark?
No, but I don't quite know how to word it at the minute.
I think it's important though to understand that the 5 billion is like a loan, right? So it will come back to the association at the end of that term. So
yeah, so yeah, I'm not sure there's many other things I can say about it. I guess my only question is, Parker, is there a world in which you think that taking not necessarily the amount that I've specified in the proposal, but any amount, let's just say 200 million TEL for this scenario, is something that's a viable
Like a provisioning
potential
budget.
option? Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like
won't
sort of
propose it.
provisioning. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I read the proposal before the call, and yeah, I think it's a great proposal. In terms of like, here's the provisioning budget that we've had so far over the years, and here's what we should allocate. My only question would be, why do we need to necessarily move it? You know, is it so that we would only need to do the TIP process to allocate funds towards certain things? Or is it, I think, some clarity around that. I don't think it's that rough of a proposal at all, by the way. I think it's good. Yeah, if you want to just kind of like walk through the rationale for it, that'd be helpful.
Yeah, I think it was rough in the sense that I didn't quite have the numbers exactly right or what they should be. But yeah, I'm intrigued to see whether there's any scope to move a certain amount out, whether that's could be used for not directly selling it, but if it's needed for liquidity for company proposals, or if some needs to be sold to fund things, for example, gold checkmark like we just talked about, stuff like that, basically. And it's just the kind of overall mindset that we don't need those tokens yet, sort of, if that makes sense. But yeah, I don't think I've got that much more to say about it at the minute. But yeah, if anybody has any thoughts about it, do shout out or post anything on the.
Yeah, I'll reply to it for sure, and do like basically the clarification of the collateral and stuff and safe, and then just reply to the proposal generally, maybe any feedback towards it or guidance tomorrow. Does that work for you?
Cool. Yeah. Thanks, Parker.
Thank you.
okay, so if we don't have any other questions, let's move on to the next topic, which would be we're going to have Adam come up and talk to us about getting organized with Trello and Slack.
Okay. So many of you will notice there's a TIP on the forum called Organizational Cost Analysis for Trello and Slack. So essentially, we've already been approved for non-profit rates with Trello. So these costs are reduced compared to the standing pricing as seen in the document there in the proposal. We are waiting to hear back from Slack on whether they will extend the same rates. To be honest, I'm pretty sure that will come through soon as well. The proposal itself essentially is built around improving the organizational aspects of the association. So Trello, if you haven't used it before, Trello essentially handles the task tracking for TIP, tel IPs, any milestones, while Slack provides more of a real-time comms layer. All of this will seamlessly integrate with the use of AI automations as well, so which automatically links them up. This just means updates can then flow smoothly across all the platforms, even into Discord and others where needed. And it's perfect. It's the perfect way to ensure everyone across all councils, no matter the sector, is kept organized. Everyone knows what they're doing, where we are, where we're at for each milestone. And the beauty of it, where it is costed right now, I've also added a sector that is structured for renewals as well. Essentially, it will come under, providing the costs don't rise more than 15% per user, whether that's due to inflationary rates or adding new council seats for expansions, etc. It will just roll under like a general operating expenses. So this gives us the flexibility for growth with essentially without the extra admin, and without the need to having to input it each year. And that's purely just from ease of access, because it will be, from my opinion, if anyone that has used Trello and Slack, I'm speaking from myself and a variety of companies that I've worked with and have set up as well there. It is an absolute godsend. It's simple, keeps everyone on track, and it is just an absolute beaut to use, to be honest. So in short, TIP is live. Trello's discounted and discount secured with the non-profit organization rates. Slack we're currently pending, and we've got a future-proof setup that covers both inflation and the council growth. That's it for council organization aspects. So I'm looking forward to any questions. And yeah, let's get organized. Let's get this going.
I think a part of that with Trello, Adam, wasn't that we would also possibly be able to have like public facing boards with that as well. With
Yeah, so apologies. Yeah, I didn't really go into speaking about Trello and what Trello actually is used for. Essentially, it is a variety of boards. I believe it's is it Kanban style?
yeah,
essentially you can create your checklist, set up automations. It's you can tag a variety of users and set up aspects so it notifies everyone that needs to be notified as well. So no matter the platform, everyone is in sync, everyone understands what's happening, and it just makes organization simplistic. It's effortless. So it's, yeah. And as you can see there, so 75% of organizations, everything they're stating, yeah, that it delivers value. It is, I can't stress this enough. I use this daily, and I've used this across every company. I've got other companies to utilize it. It is an absolute godsend.
Yeah, I think this just follows along with back and forth discussions we've had for weeks now, just on how to organize the councils and how to keep the community more informed. So I think good deal all around. Do we have any other questions out there, Derek? Or? I'm going to take that as a no.
No, not right now, Ari. We're good.
Okay. Okay. So next up, we were going to discuss the TEL-IP governance director roles for TA. Andrew won't be able to join us today, but if you could just share that if you've got that up, Derek?
Yep, got it right here. 1 second.
And we've been discussing this internally, between the councils and such. And this was Andrew's Tel IP talking about implementing a kind of like a governance director, a set of governance director roles initially to kind of manage the overall councils and handle the day-to-day back and forth and tracking of all the Tel IPs and TAN IPs and Telex stuff, and making sure that council members are held accountable for stuff. And I think we had a good discussion with Parker at our weekly meeting around it. And I think we just probably have to add some more comments to this.
Yeah, I couldn't find it when I was looking before for some reason. We could shoot that to the call. That'd be great. But yeah, so basically I'll explain my thoughts. The first one is that I think having these positions, which are really operational positions, day-to-day activity positions, are critical to the functioning of the councils. And this proposal, I think, properly seeks to improve every aspect of what we do in a big way by bringing in people that are focused to manage certain things. And so the term manage I use there is important, as well as the term operational, because effectively what we do on the councils, if this were to be an elected official, is we govern, we don't manage. We are the brain, and so we've created, and we're a non-commercial entity, nonprofit entity. We're the brain that directs its operational entity, the TAO, to go out and do the management things, the day-to-day activities, implementing certain things. And in this case, you can think about it like a club that you would go to, let's say a country club. There's going to be members, and let's say they're golfing or they're playing squash or what have you. That's what they do on a day-to-day basis. But then there's people that assist them in all sorts of areas that in the day-to-day operations and management that work for the club. And so the TAO is set up to contract with those types of people or organizations like Storm or Telcoin Holdings in the case of network development, to carry out these day-to-day management decisions. And so to have them be an elected official would actually go, so we're at in governance, we're at the collective choice level, where we're making collective choices about the operational management, day-to-day activities, and the interactions with the platform by structuring rules for how much TEL you can harvest, for instance, or how much TEL is going to be used to plan and finance what thing that we construct, and who's going to carry that out in the operational sense. And so instead, I think this proposal, unless it's a constitutional level change, which actually isn't really except for like elections, which can be changed and should be improved over time via, for instance, the TEL IP at the collective choice level of governance. This, to change the pay and the duties of council members actually goes to what is referred to as the constitutional choice level of governance. And so you can think about these as like three levels of hierarchical rule ordered authority, where there's the minor assembly at that level that does the TGIP process that can change the terms and conditions of governance, and the TRIP process, which actually enables you to change the representatives' duties and responsibilities, and actually their required or acquired attributes in order to be a council member. And so it could go into a TRIP, a Telcoin Representative Improvement Proposal, by one of the minor groups who they elect to represent them. And that would be a vote by, for instance, stakers, and they'd need 80% approval, 20% quorum on all TEL staked on TAN, or it could be a minor assembly question if it goes across numerous areas and really fundamentally architects the terms and conditions of what it means to be a council member or elect someone or be a minor group or a minor. And so I know that was all probably pretty like meta and stuff, but anyways, long story short, I think this falls into the operational choice level, which we do govern, and we need to find people, either contracted employees who would contract with the TAO or even work for the TAO if that's what we choose, or companies to fulfill these roles. And then it makes the process much simpler, and it enables us to be accountable at the governance level over management to ensure, based off the results that they have, we can fire and hire and all sorts of different things that are really important to our functions as governance officials. Hopefully that is, I overall think it's a great proposal in terms of what is the outcome of having someone that fulfills these really critical tasks of governance. It's just it's something that shouldn't be an elected position on a council unless it goes to the constitutional level, in my opinion, which is probably unnecessary because we're, you can think about like Vic Beasy, for instance. We did a proposal to LIP where he's doing all this work on socials, right? And he's also a council member, but that doesn't, these two things are separate, right? He's operating as an operation at the operational level, doing that based off rules set by the councils that plan and finance for him to do that. But he's also in a separate capacity a council member that makes decisions about things like that. So anyways, hopefully that's colorful, not overwhelmingly confusing.
No, I think for me, I was tracking with what you were saying about the clear separation and stuff. So I think we can go and comment on the forum post and see where it takes us from here. Do we have any other questions about this particular TEL-IP?
Parker, can you just, Tim kind of laid this out a while back and it kind of stuck with me, but tell me if this is in a little bit more of a short form, is that the council's role is to make a decision essentially on a direction and then inform the TAO of, hey, go out and do that direction, right?
Yeah, so the councils make collective choices about what we're going to plan and finance and implement, and then via the TAO contracts with external parties to make that happen, or can say, let's hire someone full-time to work at the TAO as well. Those are the two options with the TAO as this operational level. But we as council members, we show up to the meetings, we write proposals about how things ought to be, and then make choices about those. But we're that brain, and the TAO and the agencies that it contracts with are the arms that carry out things in the world. So that's the sort of important separation between what would be considered provisioning or planning and financing, providing, and actually producing and constructing and maintaining in the real world. And those functions need to be separate within governance structures, because otherwise it devolves into technocracy, where only those who can code can decide what should be coded, and only those who can write should decide what the message should be. And that is something that I thought about a lot. And I think that the people should decide based off of their roles as productive actors and consumers on the platform, and have the right to choose things without having to be Da Vinci or whatever. So we've gotten real artisanal and constitutional out here. And these are my favorite types of discussions. I just think they bore lots of people, so I don't generally engage in them
No, that's fine. Sure, me and Grant, though, we prefer the coders being ours. So, okay, so let's move on to the next topic, which is some exchange updates from Adam.
Really quick. Sorry. There was a
yes.
Big Dog had a question in chat that came through right at the end.
Yeah, go ahead, Derek. We'll
I
finish.
apologize. Dig Dog had a question on the last topic that came through in chat right at the end.
Yeah. So going forward, Parker, once M&Os and everything's on board, how is the council? How do you see the council managing them? Are we going to need some sort of CRM to know who's on board? Are we completely hands off on that front? How do we communicate with them? How do you see that coming through?
Grant, do you want me to handle this one, or do you want to?
No, I don't mind answering it. I think if that's all right.
Yeah, please.
So first and foremost, I think the validators have representation on the councils already for validator seats. Right now, that is kind of the main representation that they have until the mainnet goes live. Until mainnet goes live with 10 validators, according to TGIP1, the entire network is the TAO, the autonomous operations, is essentially the deciding body for Telcoin network validators. But once we have that mainnet launched, we plan to start transitioning that power back to like the validators and their role on these councils through their elected representatives, which are the validator seats on the global councils. So I think as far as like once they're on board, how are we expected to know and manage these? I think a lot of that would just kind of go through that. Now there is some consideration. I could see that there's a need for potentially adding another local council, specifically for validators, kind of like Telex and TAN. But that's in order to operate efficiently and to kind of get to mainnet to where we have these would be good problems to solve. A lot of that decision making is just with the TAO to get off the ground. So as far as that, I think that initially in these early stages, we are doing a lot of business to business communication directly with the MNOs. So we very much know who we're dealing with. There will always be a governance intervention required for a validator to join the network through an NFT issuance. So that process, I think, will be refined as we continue to move forward, especially once we get even larger than the initial cohort. But right now the process is essentially, we're verifying, we're making these agreements. Right, we have a non-binding mutual understanding that kind of outlines like what we expect and how things are supposed to work. The code itself is open source and transparent. And so once that initial acceptance and agreement between the mobile network operators and the TAO is achieved, we will be issuing that NFT through governance safe, and that NFT will allow them to stake. So there's also a little bit of flexibility with like staking involved as well. Again, it's kind of getting off the ground and then having a smooth process for maintaining network health moving forward. So a little bit of a phase A and plan phase B. So
yeah, and just to piggyback on that, the CCIP process, the Compliance Council Improvement proposal process, is basically it's meant to authorize developers and validators into the network, and so the TAO will propose XYZ telecom, or the telecom themselves will, based off of the rules that are set up and the eligibility and authorization rules for validators, and those might be altered slightly, but they'll be within that process for sure to be approved. And Yeah, so that'll happen pretty transparently.
Yeah, and maybe just to kind of like summarize it all up, in the short term, Dig Dog, it's going to be the validator seats that are kind of that CRM liaison between the councils and the validator sets. And Tau, of course, will be there to support as well.
Okay, very good. So, Adam, you want to pick up and tell us about these exchange listings?
Yeah, absolutely fine. So you may have noticed a new proposal pop up for Company 10. If you haven't seen it, I'll post the link in the chat now. In short, we've basically put forward a redacted proposal for collaboration, basically keeps fully within the Verane framework of the Telcoin Association and respects, again, all NDA obligations. It's as like others, that it's centered on increasing visibility, liquidity, and overall adoption of TEL by working with Company 10's established reach. So this essentially lays out a phased approach. So the first is finalizing the agreements and onboarding, moves on to joint marketing campaigns, educational pieces, integration opportunities. The goal is essentially to boost awareness through existing channels while ensuring everything's structured, transparent, and regularly reviewed. So from that, you've got the cost and package details. We have kept that quite tightly redacted. But the core takeaway of this is the collaboration offers multiple layers of engagement, from promotional support to community campaigns. It's all framed in a way that's flexible and depends basically on how things develop. So the whole aspect is very much about strengthening the accessibility and brand positioning in key markets, so particularly Europe. And there's other growth areas there. So while staying true to the association's kind of neutral aspects, I'm not going to say any more. Please go on to review the proposal. And yeah, that is my section done. Short and sweet.
Okay, good deal. And yeah, I just want to reiterate that Adam and Dwight have been putting in a monster effort here in the background that people may not realize to get everything coordinated and people talking and stuff. So, okay.
Yeah, I was gonna jump in and say this
Oh,
like
no.
something like, man, I was gonna jump in and be like, man, like I wish I could say like how much they're actually doing, you know. And then I realized, as you in keeping with the NDA things, it's it's what we can disclose. But yeah, just applaud Adam and them for getting all this going, and it's a lot of coordination is what it is, you know.
Yeah, I don't think people realize, like the amount of coordination that's required to make that happen. So, I mean, hats off to them. Derek, did you have something?
Yeah, just on that note, a little bit, just because I've been involved in a lot of RFPs and a lot of high level, multi-million dollar contracts at a corporate level. And I will say that it's amazing to kind of watch this process and see what Dwight and Parker are doing, because it is very much a street corner by street corner conversation. So when you guys see all these different, as the community, you see all these different proposals that come out in these different exchanges. These are just the ones that are ready to be redacted and shared. It's not including all the other conversations that they're having as well. And every single one has a different measuring stick, I guess I would say. It's very hats off to you guys. It's pretty incredible to watch. So I just wanted to say, I wanted to make that really clear. One, that just because these are the ones that are posted and redacted doesn't mean that there's other conversations happening. And then two, the amount of work that goes into each individual one. There's no standard process for this. It's very hats off to you guys. So that's all.
Yeah, no, genuinely, guys, thank you. But it's a team effort. Everyone has been involved. So yeah, really do appreciate everything everyone does.
Okay, I think we can go and move on to the Q&A. So,
I've got one here, and I could probably answer this, but I'll let Adam actually. They asked specifically, what about company two? Is that still going ahead, Adam? If you want to share what we can share in a blackout period or explain that, that'd be great.
I'm limited in what can be said, but yeah, I'm quite limited. It was approved on our side via the voting that we saw in the snapshot vote. Beyond that, I cannot say, but I guess that's can only be a good thing.
Yep. You maybe want to share the purpose of a blackout period, and it's been asked a few times, and I've explained it a few times on social. So I think putting it out there would be great too.
Yeah, no, very much. So when anything hits a blackout period, we cannot speak about it at all. We cannot trade upon it. We cannot. Our hands are tied across every level. So, because one simple slip up can jeopardize the entire process, and I don't want to be that person. I would be hunted by everyone. So yeah. So from that aspect, we cannot talk about it just as the council is general, and yeah, that's only a good thing. What's the saying? Silence is golden.
Awesome.
okay, so let's hang on to see if we have any more questions come up in the chats online for a minute. If we don't,
There was one that got sent in earlier, and this is a Treasury question. This was submitted earlier on Discord. I'm assuming this is in regards to this may have already been answered, but the question is, should the TEL-IP proposal pass, state regulators approve, and the bank goes live sometime in 2025, will/can't, we already answered this. This is the reporting thing with the cap table and stuff. So I believe we already covered that, right? Sorry. Okay.
that's okay.
Nothing else from the chat at this time. I'm going to ask one more time.
Okay.
Nothing's coming through. Looks like that's everything.
So, before we close this up and call it a wrap for this one, let's, confirm our upcoming meeting schedules. Next meeting will be 2 weeks from now, September 18th, then October 2nd, October 16th. We're going to send out calendar invites to all the council members. Remember that these meetings are crucial for maintaining transparency and communication with the community. Thank you for everybody participating.
Oh, Adam put his hand up really quick.
Oh, Adam. Okay. Yep.
I'm really sorry. So the next council meeting I won't be able to attend because I'm actually away on my stag do.
Yes, that's
Congrats,
right.
buddy.
Yes.
No way. Congrats.
Thank you.
Where are we going, dude? I'll meet you there.
I have no idea. That's
Oh,
the
wow.
thing. I'm being surprised, and I do not know what to expect.
Blindfolded. That's awesome. Have fun.
Yeah,
Congrats.
all I know is a passport is needed, so it could be anywhere.
Please have all of your work wrapped up before.
Oh, no. The only other question from chat was who's Braun. Who's going to win the Super Bowl? But we don't need to get into that. So that's it. No more questions for the council.
Okay. I think we'll call that a wrap with a big congrats to Adam there. And